man is back.
Oh, okay, Saga! boys, got it again! Oh my gosh, the man got messed up! This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have delivered. You know what I'm saying? That's true. You know what I'm saying? But oh, look at that! Oh my God!
This is your boy.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Dash True Inferno. And welcome back to another Spider-Man gameplay. Yes, so today is Wednesday, February the 6th. And originally I was going to talk about GameStop issues and some of the things that they should do to turn their business around. But I'm going to save that for next week. Hopefully they can survive at least 1 week. We'll see what happens. Because there's something else that I want to talk about. Some news broke actually yesterday, and a little bit to some degree, and I want to talk about it. You know, like in terms of when, yeah, it still broke yesterday, that Tuesday, but in terms of how big it is, it's somewhat big. But I still want to talk about it nevertheless. So this is basically NBA discussion right here. Some NBA discussion. We talk about Anthony Davis rather. So Anthony Davis, for those of you who don't know, he's like one of the biggest superstars in the league right now because he is tall, he's big, and he got a lot of skills. Like, this dude got a lot of skills. So here's this. Let me give you the backstory from the beginning, going up to what happened yesterday. So Anthony Davis, he was drafted. He's been playing for the New Orleans Pelicans basically throughout his entire career. And this dude is 26 years old. I forgot when he got in the league. He probably got in the league, I'm going to say 5 years ago, maybe 6. I don't remember. But he been playing with the Pelicans throughout his entire career. Now, his game elevated. The Pelicans, as a whole, have not. What I mean by that is this. They may have made the playoffs like once in a while Davis is with them. But they never really been a title contender. And over the last few years, the Pelicans has been like bad. Not worse in the league bad, but still bad nevertheless, to the point where they can't make the playoffs. Even though Anthony Davis, at this point in time, he is getting close to the peak of his career at age 26. So he's getting close to peaking. He's not there yet, but he's getting close, and he gets close to a point where he is considered to be an MVP candidate. Obviously, that's not the case this year, but we could see that happen next year or the year after. But the problem is the Pelicans are not making the playoffs, meaning they're not being title contenders, meaning they cannot win a championship. So, a number of weeks back, Anthony Davis basically told the entire world that he wanted to be traded. So, here's the deal with that. So, obviously, he wanted to leave New Orleans and go play for another team. Now, even though it had not been said publicly by Anthony Davis, I believe his agent said this. I don't remember who said this, but I believe his agent said it. But he wanted to play with the Los Angeles Lakers. So here's the deal with the Lakers. Right now, the Los Angeles Lakers have LeBron James. Now, whether you follow basketball or not, you should know who LeBron James is. LeBron James, at this point in time, is viewed upon as the greatest basketball player in the world today. So, if Anthony Davis, and I told you about how good Anthony Davis is, and LeBron James was the team up, they could make some noise. And they got a bunch of young talent on that squad, depending on who still remains after a trade, if a trade happens. They can make some noise. They can really make some noise in terms of being a title contender and things of that nature. Even though they are in the Western Conference, where you got to deal with the defending champions, the Golden State Warriors. They got to deal with the OKC Thunder. They got to deal with the Denver Nuggets. They got to deal with I guess to some degree, the Clippers. They got to deal with the San Antonio Spurs to some degree. They got to deal with the Portland Trailblazers to some degree. There's quite a and the Houston Rockets. They got to deal with the Houston Rockets because James Harden has been balling like crazy. But they could do it. They could do it. They could do it. So why did I bring up the Lakers and why did I bring up LeBron James? So here's what happens. Here's what's going on. LeBron James, and I mentioned Anthony Davis' agent, right? How I believe it was his agent, Anthony Davis' agent, who said Anthony Davis wanted to go to the Lakers. That same guy, who is Anthony Davis' agent, is also LeBron James' agent. So you kind of see where I'm going with this. So obviously, the agent either talked, obviously all three guys might have talked to each other, or, well, obviously LeBron and Anthony Davis went out to dinner or breakfast, something like that. Like, I think 2 weeks ago, something along those lines. So, obviously there's talks about the two of them joining forces in LA. So, in order for this to happen, though, the Los Angeles Lakers and the New Orleans Pelicans must make a trade between now and the trade deadline. I do not remember exactly when the trade deadline is. I know it's this month. I know it's coming up really soon. I just don't remember when. But yeah, there you go with that. Now, what was also said, I believe this was by Anthony Davis himself, is that in regards to him being traded, or want to be traded rather, he wants to be traded to 4 teams. One of 4 teams, obviously. The Lakers, the New York Knicks, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Los Angeles Clippers. So we can already eliminate the Milwaukee Bucks and the Los Angeles Clippers. Why? Because what they have to offer isn't good enough for the New Orleans Pelicans. I don't know what the New York Knicks have to offer. They recently just made a trade themselves, and it was kind of a big one. But that would be interesting if Anthony Davis did end up in New York, but that's beside the point. The bottom line is this. Again, the Lakers at this point in time, you would think have what the Pelicans want. But we'll get more on that later. So, what do the Pelicans want? Well, originally, they want Anthony Davis to stay. Like, they want him to sign an extension. Now, keep in mind of this. If Anthony Davis signs an extension, right, then he will make history. By signing an extension, Anthony Davis will be the first NBA player in history. So we're talking about not Shaquille O'Neal, not Kobe Bryant, not even Michael Jordan himself, not Wilt Chamberlain, not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, not Bill Russell, not Allen Iverson. You know, none of the great superstars that came before him. None of them was able to do this. But Anthony Davis is in a position to do this. If he were to stay and sign an extension with the New Orleans Pelicans, Anthony Davis over that next contract could make $300 million. So he would be the first NBA player to make $300 million based off of one contract. That is crazy. And that if, again, he don't get traded or he don't go somewhere else because of how the league works and the rules and the regulations and things of that nature. So there you go with that. Now, again, he wants to get traded. But here's the deal. So the Lakers has been making offers to the Pelicans. So basically, the Lakers, outside of LeBron and what's his name, Lance Stevenson and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who used to play for Detroit, by the way, who was drafted by Detroit. They got a bunch of young guys. They got a bunch of young talent. So they got Lonzo Ball. They got Kyle Kuzma. They got Brandon Ingram. They got Josh Hart and Ivica Zubac. All of those guys are extremely young. I don't think not a single one of those guys are over the age of 23. So they are all young. I know Lonzo, this is his second year in the league. I think the same could be said for Kuzma. Brandon Ingram, this could be his 3rd year in the league. I don't know. But basically, the bottom line is this. They're all young guys. None of them over 23, I think. And the Lakers are willing to get rid of all of them. In fact, it is said that the Lakers is willing to get rid of everybody. Or not get rid of everybody, but everybody is tradable with the exception of LeBron James. So all their players except LeBron James are available for a trade. So the Lakers basically offered Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Ivica Zubac, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and 2 first-round draft picks, which that's big right there, to get Anthony Davis and Solomon Hill, who is an expiring contract, which is worth $12.7 million. So on paper, the Lakers are giving up a lot. Like, they really are, man. I would probably tell them keep Kuzma, but get rid of everybody else that I just named. But they put Kuzma in there, and on paper it's a good deal. But the problem is this. The Pelicans wanted more. So instead of 2 first-round draft picks, and I'm assuming this is alongside with all those players that I'm named, they also wanted 6 to 8 draft picks. And the Lakers were not willing to do that. So at this point in time, it is reported by the LA Times that the Lakers, they took themselves out. Like, no, we not doing that. So those trade talks are over and done with. So now, the Pelicans at this point in time are stuck with Anthony Davis, who won out. Now, here what could happen. This can't happen before the trade deadline, but this could happen in July when the regular season is over and we're now officially into the offseason. The Boston Celtics can make a move for Anthony Davis where they can trade some of their young guys. Now, the difference between their young guys and the young guys that the Lakers have are this. The Boston Celtics young guys, even though they're young and none of them are even close to their peak, they are all proven winners because they have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I believe, last year. So, yeah, this is a bunch of young guys that are proven winners. While the Lakers' young core, they haven't proven anything. So, in the Boston Celtics, they got a crap ton of draft picks. So, they can make the move. They can make the offer. But here's the deal. When it comes to Anthony Davis' contract, now, Anthony Davis' contract does not expire by the end of this season. It expires by the end of next season. So his contract will be good until 2020. So when you trade somebody, you get their contract. They don't automatically sign an extension or anything like that. It's not a brand new contract. No, you get in their contract. So what could happen is this. If the Pelicans trade Anthony Davis to Boston, he can play with Boston for 1 year. And then he will have a choice to either re-signing with Boston or go somewhere else. And we've seen this with, for example, Paul George. So Paul George used to play with the Pacers. And basically, he said he wants to play with the Lakers because that's his hometown team. I think he got family there, things of that nature. But instead, the Indiana Pacers traded him to Oklahoma City. Well, this past offseason, before this season started, his contract was up. So he had a choice to walk into LA and sign with them or stay in OKC. He chose to stay in OKC because of Russell Westbrook, who is like at the time their biggest player. And we see something like this now in Toronto because what's his face? Kawhi Leonard was traded from San Antonio to Toronto, and he have a year left in his contract. So we don't know what he's going to do because right now Toronto is a title contender because they got Kawhi. They are a big time title contender because they got Kawhi Leonard. So we don't know what he's going to do when his contract is up by the end of this season because he wants to go to LA, but not necessarily the Lakers, but more than likely the Clippers. We don't know what he's going to do. He could resign. So that's a big old question mark. Nobody talking about Kawhi. And now in terms of Anthony Davis, again, at this point in time, even though he haven't said it in publicly, but the mindset is he wants to go to the Lakers. He wants to play with LeBron. We don't know if that's going to happen before the trade deadline. We don't know if that's going to happen during this upcoming offseason. We don't know if that's going to happen after next season. So there's a lot of question marks. And if I'm the New Orleans Pelicans, here's what I would do. I would trade him to Boston because at that point, he's out of their hands. You know, because they control where he gets to go. Like, it's not like Anthony Davis have any say in terms of where he get traded to at this point in time. But basically, I would trade him to Boston, get those young players, and get those draft picks, and build around them and your future draft picks. That's what I would do if I'm the Pelicans. And if I'm Anthony Davis, the objective that he wanted was to play with the Lakers this season. Because LeBron, even though he is the best player in the world, he's getting old. Like, he's 34 right now. So he's getting up there. So yeah, you know, his time is running out, basically. So he wants to win at least one championship in LA. And he'd rather not play with LA for the rest of this year. This is first year with LA. And then all the next year and possibly not get any help in terms of winning a championship. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Anthony Davis from this point going forward. But I thought it was very interesting that the Pelicans wanted 6 to 8 draft picks in addition to like 5 young players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 young players and KCP. Now KC, he's not even like I wouldn't even call him old. I don't think he's 30 yet. I don't think he's 30. KCP. So he's somewhat young as well. So they run it 6 players and 6 to 8 draft picks, and that's a lot. That's really a lot. But we'll see what happens. And I just feel like talking about this. So I'm gonna call it a wrap. And with that said, y'all know who this is. This is your boy, the new Jay Gatsby, aka the new Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.